Three women in Hawaii investing in real estate. Join us on our journey from humble beginnings to six-figure payoffs and everything in between. If we can do it, so can you. Real estate investing with Tara Shim, April Nelson, and Raquel Amin.
All right, so here again with real estate investing, our experiences. We're all three mothers, and the next one I wanted to ask you too is, how do you get your kids involved? How do you teach your kids about money and investing? What are some of the tricks that you might be able to share with other people wanting to do this, and that maybe are moms or families and trying to balance all of that and also include it as a lesson to their kids? So Raquel, you want to start?
Yeah, so for me, I really just would bring them along, bring them with me to the projects, and, so then that way they can see, the process, they can see, the demolition. That's their favorite part.
How old are your kids?
The oldest is 19, and then we have a 15-year-old, and then we have an 11-year-old. So we do have a blended family, but, we make it work. That's what we do, right? And so for my oldest, seeing that, he's there on the project and such, and we used to use him for labor work, doing the demolition, moving materials and such. And then I would also take him with me at the closing, on closing day. So when we're at the escrow company picking up our paychecks, I would show him the paychecks, and he would just be blown away. Like, what? This is the kind of money that you're making. And so he got, intrigued about it and everything. And so I'm so proud of him because he just graduated last year, and he is now doing apprentice carpentry work for one of the amazing, construction teams that we have here on the west side. They're building beautiful homes, $25 million homes. So he's gaining that experience as a carpenter, and then hopefully eventually later on maybe can, have his own construction company and get his GC license. So I'm super proud of him. And then for a little guy, we teach him the value of money. Like, he's always asking for, Mom, can I have $10, and such. And I'm like, well, what are you gonna do to work for it? Because he plays Fortnite and things like that. And so, one day he had said, hey, can I get a PlayStation? And I was like, okay, that's $500. So how are you gonna come up with that money? And, so he's over there brainstorming and such. And then in the meantime, he brings me rock candy. And he's like, Mom, can you melt this to make a lollipop? And I was like, you know what? I actually have the lollipop molds to make the Lihimoy lollipops. So I made it for him, and he's like, wow, this is so good. Can we sell it? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So we started a little production right at home in our kitchen. And so we just started, posting it out there and marketing it. And, within 3 days of marketing out on social media, he made $500. Wow. So he had enough money to buy his PlayStation, but now he's thinking, you know what? Why get a PlayStation when I can get a gaming computer instead? Oh. So his goal went from there to here, and so by the end of the week, he earned $1,000, and he was able to buy his gaming computer. So wow. super proud of him, and his accomplishments.
I love that, both bringing your son to the closing table to really see, okay, all our hard work paid off in this way, and then also teaching them entrepreneurship for the younger one. That's fabulous. How about you, Tara?
So my girls, I have two girls. They're 14 and 16, and my other half has two kids. And so the oldest is 20 and the youngest is 15, I want to say 15 or 16. So for me, it's basically just leading by example. My kids have heard me speak so much about money. I've taught so many financial classes on Zoom, in person, and I bring them with me sometimes to these classes, or they're at home and they hear in the backgrounds. And really setting out a set of plans and having them read this plan with me. Okay, what's the window schedule? What's the door schedule? Point to all the doors, point to all the windows. Just kind of helping them to see the big picture on what we do as investors. And like Raquel is saying, taking them with us to meet with lenders and escrow officers and just people in the community that help us get to our goals. And I think the biggest thing for me is teaching them too. Like my kids also have had to raise up their own monies, you know, selling gummy bears at school and whatever it is. My youngest daughter sold a bunch of clothes, made her own little Instagram store with her best friend. They've ordered things off of Amazon and resold them, and just that entrepreneur mindset I think is really huge. They're coming to the age where they can start working now, and I'm like, okay, do you want to work or do you want to have a business? And they're thinking about it. They're like, well, I mean, what kind of business, or should I just go work and make $15 an hour, you know? And they have choices now. But I think that's the big thing, is not a lot of people talk to their kids about money, and it's never too early, you know. Talk to them about what the budget looks like when we're building, or come to the project and see what stage we're in. And like Raquel said, showing them the check, why we do this. At the end of the day, everybody works for money, but seeing the impact of all of the families that we also get to help. Like they know that we have homes that have renters in them, and these people may or may not be able to buy a home, but we provide that home for them, and all the hard work that we did, the reward is so huge. So I think my kids just naturally are in that environment and they're watching. And so the experience is the hands-on, like what we do every day. And then we get to talk to them about it, and we share with them like, hey, we're really stressed out right now because we're in this portion of the build. And then, okay, we're so stoked because we're done. And now we don't have anything going on. Now we're bored. What's the next project, right? So, and for the kids, I really think that they are absorbing so much that we don't even realize. And I do a lot of these homebuyer workshops, and I have them come, and they've sat in on 3 or 4 of my workshops, and they bring their friends with them, and they get a lot out of like the lenders who are speaking, you know, the other people. They hear me all the time, and so they kind of like know what I'm gonna say. But it's so refreshing to see that these teenagers are getting this, and they're not talking about it in school, right? They're not talking about it in the classroom, about paying taxes, about, you know, adulting and building up your wealth through other avenues besides just working a 9 to 5. So that to me is huge. Anytime I can like sit in front of a teenager that wants to learn, I'm all about it, because that's the next generation that's going to be doing what we're doing. And so if I can plant that seed and help water it all day long, you know.
Yeah, and I have to say that I have a coworker that has kids that are friends of your kids, and they also learned a lot from you, it sounds like, on the money side and investing and things. And so my son is a little bit younger. He's 7 now, and one of my earlier projects, when I had bought some raw land and was building the off-grid cabin, and I was doing it by myself, you know, doing all the lumber and the cutting and the designing and all of that. And he was out there. It was during COVID, so the parks weren't open, the beaches were closed. So I just took him with me, and we were out there, and he would hammer away on his little piece of wood, and he would watch me working. And I think, like you said, you know, the exposure is a big piece of it. And so he would start to learn a lot of the trades. And so not just on the money aspects, but I'm hearing that from both of you too, on the carpentry and the plans and understanding how things go together on construction, what things we look for in, you know, in foreclosures or other things too. Later on in the condo, when I was fixing up a foreclosure condo that I bought, my son was there a lot, and he would, you know, do his own thing, or sometimes he would help me paint, or projects that he could help. I got him a little set of tools so he could do his own little thing there too. But it's never too early to get him involved, is kind of what I'm hearing also from you guys. And even just exposure. And my son's already now talking with his friends about, we should start a lemonade stand. We should, you know, how can we make some money around, you know, the neighborhood. And even when I was younger too, the video game thing, my sister and I saved to get a Nintendo. My parents didn't buy a Nintendo for us, and it was $100, and we saved allowance, and I did babysitting and all kinds of things to just get to that goal. And so teaching the kids to, you know, work for that, and really, you know, make things happen if they want it to happen, gets rid of the, oh, I can't do it, I don't have any money. It's how can I do it? What way? How can I find the way to get to where I want to go? And that's, I think, the spirit that both of you have, and that you're imparting to your kids.
Join us for our next video, Overcoming Challenges.
So, and we can cut out that part probably.